Steps on how to create a racing game in Godot. So first we're going to create a scene, and I'm just going to call this scene main scene. Alright, and we're going to add a sprite, a child node to this, which will be our sprite. Now this sprite, we're going to call it our race track. And now we're going to add a texture, and adding a texture simply just means to add the photo. Alright, so we have a massive photo here, and you see there's a purple line, there's a purple box in this little area, and that actually represents your camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this over here and try to line it up. We can do it in multiple different ways, but I just like lining it up. So just like that. Come on over down to here, and just move it over a little. Yeah, and then down here we have to make it shorter. Alright, so now once we've created that, we're just going to take a look at it, see if it looks nice. Yeah, looks about good. Alright, so once we've done that, we can now add some kinetic bodies. So now we're going to add a kinetic. So now a kinetic body essentially just means a player or something that can move around and you can control. So in this player, we're going to need to add a sprite, and we're also going to need to add a collision box. That's going to look like a collision shape. Alright? So once we've done this, we're just going to add a texture once again. Load up a texture, and this texture is just going to be the yellow car, we'll say. Now this is a quite big car, so what we're going to do is we're going to just downsize it quite a bit. And just for measures, let's take a look at it on the track. Yeah, that works. And then we're just going to add a shape to that. Let's use a capsule, move it over here, and then we're just gonna change the rotation of it. We're gonna go 90 degrees, and now it's flipped. So just that, right there, right about there. There you go. So this is the collision box for the car. All right, and so now we're gonna add a script to this. So you have multiple different types you can use. You can use a native, I think that's a C, GD is a Python, and Visual Script is more like a Scratch. So we're just going to use Python because that's what we're most used to. And just create we'll call it car. Car 1. Okay. So once we've created it, we're going to add some variables. So our first variable is going to be velocity. Now the velocity is going to use a vector 2, which is essentially like an array. We're also going to make it alive. We're also going to use a export variable. An export variable essentially just allows you to see it on the side here, so you can change it at any given time without going back to the scripts. We're going to make an int. We're going to call it rotation speed. Alright, we're going to do another one. We're just going to call this one speed. Alright, so now once we've done this, we're going to add a function called physics process. and we're going to use the parameter delta. So this is just going to give us a delta inside of our function. So first thing we're going to do, if the player is not alive, then just return, and it'll essentially just close the game up. Alright, we're also going to add a new variable, rotation direction. Just going to be equal to 0. So now we're going to do some inputs. And in order to do an input, you're actually going to have to go to your project settings and go to the input map. We're going to name it move left, move right, move up, move down. So now to all of these, we're going to move left. We're going to add a key and just press the key we desire. Right, left. No. Down. Okay. So now once we've got these, we can use them for inputs. So what we say is, if the input is action pressed, and then we're going to specify what we're going to move. So we're going to move right. So if the move right is pressed, we're going to go rotation direction. Now add 1 to whatever it is. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing to move left. But this time, we're going to subtract 1. Alright? So now the rotation, we'll add the rotation speed times the rotation direction times delta. And then we're also going to make our velocity equal to vector 2. And now we're going to do the same thing we did here, but for the forwards and backwards. So, we're going to do if input dot action pressed move up. We're going to set our velocity to vector 2, the speed 0. And then we're also going to rotate it according to the rotation variable. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing again, but for backwards. Okay, and then we're actually going to go negative speed because we're going to go backwards. And you know, let's divide by 2 because going slower, you usually go slower backwards than you do going forwards. And we're also going to do the same thing, just rotate it according to the rotation variable. Alright, so now we're going to do another thing. We're going to call move and slide. So this just essentially moves whatever you made and then slides it as well to wherever you put or specified. So now we're going to call it for velocity. Alright, and then that's going to be the code for a single kinematic body. So we're just going to save that, head it over to here, and then we're also just going to give this little icon here and makes it not selectable. So we have this entire thing here that just goes as one. So I can just drag this entire script and all of its children to wherever I put it. Now let's just test this out, see what it does. So now you see it doesn't move. And the reason it doesn't move is because we haven't set the script variables. So here's what the export variables look like. So now we're just going to set the rotation to, let's say 2. And then our speed will go 100. Why not? Now we can start. Now you can see we're going. And we just have this crazy turn. So this is because, as you can see where our turn is actually right here. So if I use the turn, what happens is, you can see it's very far away. So, to combat this, we're just going to go back. We're going to move this. Move it all the way up here. And then we're just going to select this. Oh boy. Let's go back. Okay. Let's move it all right on top of each other. Same thing here. Move it right. On top of the other. Alright. So now let's give this a go. Reset our variables, 2 and 175. There you go. Now it's a little slow, so we can change its turning. Let's say 3. How much of an impact will that make? Let's find out. Much better. There you go. Alright, so now we've created 1. We're going to do another way. We're going to change this up a little. We can call this yellow color. And we're going to do this a different way. So we're going to go over to here, to new adding tab, and then we're going to change this to another kinematic body. And then we'll just do purple color. Alright. Here we're going to add a child node being the sprite, and another child node that is going to be the collision. So here we're just going to add a sprite, the purple color, and then we're also going to add a shape to it. So now let's rotate this shape, transform 90 degrees. There you go. So now we almost have it done. We're also going to create some new moves. So we're just going to add left, right, up, and down. Our left is going to be A, our right will be D, our up will be W, and our down will be S. Okay? So I'm going to create another one. Purple color, create. So I'm just going to steal everything from this one. And I'm just going to put it all into here. But instead of move right, move left, we're just going to go right, left, up, and down. We're going to call this a purple car scene. I'm going to head over back here. And now that we have that scene created, we're going to add it right there. And it looks quite large. So what we're going to do is we're going to transform it, scale, and go, let's see what 0.5 does. 0.5. That's still too big. No problem. Let's go with 0.1. 0.1. That's too small. So just a little guess in the middle. That's a bit big, but it'll work just fine. So now if we run it, we can go with this one, and this one's still stuck. Why? Because we haven't set the variables. So we're going to go 3 and 175. Goes, and also goes. See, as you just saw, oh, we're going to go backwards as well. You just saw it, they just collided, but it didn't look like anything happened. It just slides past. Why? Because we made a collision box. So now it just has to move around. It has to move around it and avoid it. And then that's the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and learned something in the next one.